Welcome to the Style and Soul podcast, a behind-the-scenes look at the world of fashion, jewelry, and retail. Hi, I'm Jenny Livitz, owner of Pink Lagoon, a lifestyle boutique in Solana Beach, California. After being in the heart of retail for over 2 decades, I wanted to create a space where we could go deeper into the stories and personal journeys of the designers, founders, and creative minds shaping what we wear and how we live. From the showroom to the boardroom, this is where creativity and business come together and discover how to build a life with style and soul. So today on the Style and Soul podcast, we have Catie Offerman, who is the founder and designer of Mandriana. I think you have a really fun story, and you know we're big storytellers of brands at Pink Lagoon. So if you could just kind of tell us how Mandriana came about and how it started.
First of all, thank you for having me. This is so sweet. I am in Nashville, so I'm a Texas gal though, born and raised. Music has always been the only thing I've ever done. I grew up playing fiddle for different artists and moved to Nashville, signed a record deal, done the whole thing just music-wise, and was not looking for a second occupation. I was over in London playing a show, and my dad and my husband went along, and my mom had to stay and keep the dogs. And so we ended up over there, and long story short, it's kind of one of those situations where we had a few days open. We were like, well, let's book some things and then kind of fly by the seat of our pants. And you don't really know why things line up the way they do until you look back in hindsight, So at the time, we met a random couple staying in a bed and breakfast. They told us to go to the next town. We went there. They said, you should go to this little town called Forte de Marmi. It's on like the northwestern coast of Italy. And we got to this town. It was super bougie, awesome, great shopping. So I left the guys so that they could have a drink and I would go shop. And I walked into like a designer store and was like, hey, point me in the direction of a cool local store that is going to have stuff that I wouldn't find anywhere else. And they wrote down the name of this one store, and I don't even remember the name of it. And I just put in my maps and I walked there. And when I walked in, everything was made with bandanas. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I love it because I love to shop. So I'm like, yes, I'll take that. I'll take that. And wasn't really thinking anything of it. And they were different. It was like really dainty, like some little beads kind of dangling off, like not a ton of charms, like only had like 2 or 3 on there. But I just thought it was so cool. And especially living in Nashville, like I love bandanas and just all that kind of stuff. So I bought a few and I came back. I found the guys where I left them. And my dad was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Like, you should try making that. You have so many bandanas laying around. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Like, I'm good. And I'm just going to buy them. And so I came back in town and my neighbor was like, what's on your neck? That's so cool. And I'm like, well, I found it in Italy, Anyway, we just kind of talked each other into having a craft day. And one Sunday I ordered a bunch of bandanas. I mean, it was a train wreck. I didn't know what size jump rings to buy. I didn't know how wide to cut them. They were so stiff. So I have the ironing board out. I'm like cutting little folded pieces. Just not good. So I was kind of aggravated, but I was intrigued. So I kept going with it, try to figure it out. Decided I'd order some gold filled charms, and try to get the look a little better. Maybe I'd like it better. Then finally I don't know. I guess one day I kind of figured it out good enough where I was like, all right, I think I kind of know the pattern of what I'm doing here. And honestly, my only goal was just to make some, and maybe I'd wear them myself to my shows, give them to my friends, maybe sell them to my friends. I don't know. And so I made 150, and my husband, I think, was getting to the point where he's like, what are we doing? There's like 150 of these necklace things laying around our kitchen table, whatever. And I was like, okay, I should probably like start an Instagram. And at the time, when I came back to the States, I did a deep dive on, was anybody doing this? And, really there was one place in Miami, one place somewhere in California, and they had been bringing a few in from like, they were made in Europe. And there were a couple like random kind of craft project things on Etsy, but like nobody was doing them. And so I was like, you know what? Let's launch it. Like, let's do something and maybe I'll sell like 2. Well, I know. So I was like, all right, I did care enough about branding to, be like, all right, I need to go with a name. I need a logo. So I was like, what am I going to call it? And I honestly wanted to name it after my dogs, but I couldn't come up with anything that I liked. So I started looking up words in Italian. I mean, it took me a few weeks. I was just trying everything. For a while, I was looking up names in Spanish, and I'm like, why am I even doing this? Like, what? I was just shooting in the dark. And so I went back to Italian, and I looked up like what is cowgirl or cowboy in Italian, and it's Mandriana, and it means like their universal term for cowgirl or herdsman. And I'm like, that's great. Like, that's perfect. And then I texted my buddy in Texas and was like, hey, I need a logo. I want cowgirl, horse, laid back vibes. I started an Instagram. I sold like 2 my first week. It was like, yay, like, woohoo, we're really doing it. And then a couple, maybe like 2, 3 weeks into it, an influencer in Nashville got one and posted about it. And I sold 150 in like a week. And
Wow.
I called my parents freaking out, was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Y'all need to get here. I had like a label maker I kind of didn't know how to use. My husband had made me a Shopify account, but like, that's not what we do. Then I got a guy to, make my website better, all these different things, and trying to figure out how can I guess I'm doing this now. So it's crazy to think that that's where it started. And now it's been way more than 2 of my friends purchasing them, but
Way more.
it is truly been one of the greatest unexpected blessings in my life. And I realized that, like, I think my whole life, I probably only had my identity in music, professionally.
Yeah.
And I think I always had a chokehold on kind of my destination of like, okay, well, in 2 years, I'm gonna be doing this, and I can't do this until I accomplish this. And I think now I'm like just more open arms posture of like, what's next? What do you have for me? Like, here I am, because I think life is full of unexpected surprises and blessings. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what started things off. And now I'm just trying to hang on for dear life. So,
Well, congratulations. I mean, it is so cool to hear these stories. And I think that's what I love about this podcast is like diving deeper into some of these
totally.
stories that actually launch companies and brands, because whether it's someone listening that wants to start a brand or has a brand, it's so helpful to hear like what is it that you had to overcome, what is it that you went through to get to the point where you're at. So how many years now has Mondriana been going on strong?
Just a year and a month.
I mean,
so
that is insane. You have been going hard then.
yeah, I've just been letting it take me wherever it's leading me and just riding the wave. I mean, I think the hardest part for me is delegating, because I love being there. I love meeting everybody. I love making the necklace. I love, just that whole in-person experience with people. And so if there's an event, I'm going to go to it. If there's a custom necklace being made, I have something that works for me, but like there is not one necklace that leaves that I'm not, going after myself. So I probably struggle a little bit. Maybe that's a control thing, but you're picky and it's your brand and you want it to represent you and quality.
So are you still doing music, or did this take over? Like, what does that look like for you?
So it's definitely become right now in this season of my life, kind of my first job. I asked off my record deal in January. There's just some transitional things. They weren't putting out music. And so it was like, I think what I didn't know is that like this was put in my life before that kind of happened. And I think it took me through that period, because I think otherwise I probably would have been just knowing myself in a little bit of a dark hole of like, oh my gosh, what am I doing?
Right. That is a blessing, because you had this to like creatively inspire you, and then obviously financially too, just kind of keep you moving in the right direction.
Totally. So I think that it was definitely just a blessing in that respect. And so now, the fortunate thing is that this now allows me to go and fund making a record and putting it out, as an independent artist next year and that kind of thing. Because, the music business, that's a whole nother wild topic. But I absolutely love music. It is my first love. It's my highest highs, my heartbreaks, everything in between. But this has opened my eyes to a lot of stuff, because I never felt joy professionally outside of that. And so I don't know about you, but like for me, when you kind of find your like, this is my lane, this is what I do, even when it has to do with having kids or those kind of things, like I think that in music, especially being a girl, I think we always tend to think like, well, I don't want to do that kind of stuff until I accomplish X, Y, and Z. And because I don't think I'd be happy, because music's the only thing that brings me joy. That's kind of like, I feel like the conversation with yourself. And to be able to know like how happy, it's a weird feeling to like feel such happiness from an area of your life that you didn't know was possible. And so I think it's kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things of like, I don't know, just knowing that I can feel happiness no matter what comes at me. So it's been far more than just starting a brand or selling products for sure.
It sounds like it's given you like a new confidence and a new like passion and purpose,
Yeah.
And I think that's so cool too, to like allow things to just continue to evolve and change. And it does, like you said, doesn't have to be like one set way.
Yeah.
We always like pigeonhole or put ourselves in until this happens, until this happens. It kind of threw all of those rules out the window for you.
Yeah. And I think I've just met so many awesome girls, like so many awesome women. And I'm sure you experienced that just like in y'all's store and your job. Like there's just a lot of women lifting other women up. And I've never experienced it like this before. That's so cool.
That's so interesting you said that, because when I fell in love with retail was when I was like 16 and I had my first retail job. And what I loved so much about it was every day felt different. I always remember being like, you just never know who you're going to meet. You never know who's going to walk in. It's just like constant girl power in a way, like from some of the women that you would meet and you would just be inspired by or learn something from them. And so it just kind of propelled my life in a different way than had I been in a different career or atmosphere. And it was like, I don't know, I was young to know it, but I knew that it felt really good and that I like enjoyed being there. Like I enjoyed the experience of working retail and being around people.
Yeah, I know. I don't know. I just think it's good for the soul, and obviously like not every day is roses. Like, I mean, that's just such as life. But I think to get to show up and do what we do and see old friends and new and just, I don't know, have these moments with other people walking the same similar journeys. It's just really special. Not everybody gets to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's so exciting. So where do you kind of pull your inspiration right now for your bandanas? And I was just thinking about it, like bandanas are very like rebellious, but then Americana, like they individuality, like the colors, like they do represent so much in like American history almost.
Yeah.
So do you guys source the bandanas, make the bandanas? Like, tell us just a little bit about like your inspiration and then like the creation of them. Cause I think I'm wearing mine for those who are watching this.
I love it.
YouTube.
It's kind of dark in here, but I have on a full stack. Like nothing like wearing just sweatpants and then like a few necklaces. Yeah. So, my dog has decided to join the chat. So.
Oh, hi.
Oh, I know, the little pups.
Hi, she's cute.
She's the best. She's my old lady. She's actually from Craigslist in LA. So yeah, she's a Cali girl. But so when I first started, I was just going out and sourcing vintage bandanas, literally wherever I could find them. But it was really hard to create consistency in color because if you're just going out there. But that was before I was doing wholesale. It was kind of just drops of necklaces and it didn't really matter. But now my parents actually hand dye all the bandanas. And so we just get bandanas in that are made in the USA. And then my parents will we have a whole like a cut and tying board thing. They go and cut every single one the same length. All of our bandanas are identical lengths. And so that way it just gives people a chance to, tie them higher, tie them lower, whatever they want. Yep. And so then my mom will go in. She does most of the dyeing. And so she'll either dye some, she'll tea dye some naturally. So it gives it kind of that vintage, like where some of the paisley design is a little bit more of like a lived in brownish tone. That's because she's doing the tea dyeing. And so she's always just coming up with different methods. And I think we want to start experimenting with how can we even naturally dye some of these and lean more into that because I love that kind of stuff. So as far as the charms go.
And you have a real array of colors. I think that's there's a lot of different colors. And the reason you have that capacity is because you're hand dyeing them, because there's no way you could find those colors.
No. And honestly, when I get the bandanas in, I mean, it doesn't matter where you're getting bandanas from. I mean, it's for the most part, they're really stiff. If you're getting 100% cotton bandanas, it's not like it's lived in like your grandfather's bandana. It's just like, and it's folded, not the best. And so she'll just run that thing. I mean, my dad has even run something through a cement mixer out at our ranch. Like he has put them through it just to try to get more of that lived in feel because
wow, very cool.
I want them to,
Be
just have
soft
that.
and movable.
Yes, you want that effortless feel, and you definitely don't want anything that's, not soft, that's like around your neck. Yeah, that definitely was important to me. So that was a lot of experimentation. There was definitely a tricky aspect in the first couple months of just trying to, find bandanas everywhere. So this has definitely made it more streamlined. And so charm wise, everything's gold filled, but I will say like my goal long term is to be making a lot of the charms in house. And so that's kind of on my radar for me and my dad to go to jewelry school. Because
Yeah.
we've never done any kind of formal training, and that's something I would love to do because I really want these pieces to be as, one of one as possible. And I think that, one of my goals has been after I started, within several months, I realized how many repeat customers I had. Because I think initially, when you start a business, you kind of think, I need the most followers, I need the most purchases, I need the most whatever. But then when I look back and I realized how much a small group of my customers meant to me and my business, it's like nurturing those relationships and realizing I have women that will come back and buy their 30th necklace from me, and how can I keep reinventing the wheel, bringing them different things, and not being like, give them a reason to want to buy another one. So my mom and I started going to Europe a couple times a year, and we'd source charms and find really cool little hand beaded ones or vintage ones, and, go to markets in Italy. So that's been, I don't know, a lot of fun, but definitely trying to make things my own and creating the jewelry in house would be kind of the next step.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say it's like the 80-20 rule that 20% of your clients or business will make up 80% of your business. Like,
Yeah.
so it is kind of like loving the ones that are already there instead of like what you're saying, which is like more clients, more. We always want more clients, but
Yeah, it is interesting.
Looking to refresh your wardrobe with pieces that feel as good as they look? Come visit us at Pink Lagoon, a lifestyle boutique in Solana Beach, California, where fashion meets intention. From curated clothing and jewelry to elevated essentials, we help you find your unique style with soul. Not local? No problem. Shop anytime at pinklagoon.com. That's www.pinklagoon.com. Come and discover your new favorite look today. So what has been like, I mean, it's only been a year, so it's kind of hard to ask this question, but like, what has been the hardest part so far? Like growing so fast? Like, is there a challenge that you just remember being like, whoa?
I think the challenge has been the chaos of, everything is in my house. I mean, it's awesome because I can literally just walk upstairs and then I'm there.
Right.
So I will say, initially, I think the hardest part was, I mean, it went so fast. Everything was just chaotic at first.
Yeah.
And so I had a really hard time balancing my life and turning it off because every waking second I would walk into that room and I'd make another necklace and there was just no boundaries. So I've gotten better about that. Now, I think employees are always really hard. Keeping an employee and finding people that see things the way that you do and think that work is, high quality the same as you do and your taste. That's always a struggle. But probably just the lack of I literally moved everything into our little tiny home gym. And it's not like a bougie home gym. It's like a tiny bedroom that we had a rower and a mirror in. And so I just threw everything in there, and still it's a little chaotic. So my hope is maybe over the over the holidays, I can sweet talk my dad into maybe reorganizing the garage and turning half the garage into a workspace, because you hear about these people like Kendra Scott and whatnot where they started off in their house, and I think for me, I'm like, there's no reason why I can't keep it in the house. I don't need the expense of having a place or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think at this stage in the game, it's just trying to make it work and the best I can. And maybe the next house will have a little outhouse in the back for me. So
Right. I love that. And Kendra Scott, did you read her book? She's a great, I mean,
no, but I need to.
yeah, it's a good one. It's a great story. Isn't she also like a Texas girl like you?
Yeah. She's a Texas gal. I can't remember if she's from Austin or Dallas.
Great inspiration for you for sure. If where you're off to, you have great personal style. I think one of the things that makes you so fun to follow is you wear the bandanas so well. You are the brand, you show it really well. How would you describe your personal style?
Well, in this moment, pretty lazy. Um,
Me
I
too.
literally, I made the effort to go work out, which that was the whole thing. I didn't work out for a year because of this, but I'm back
Ugh.
at it. I'm currently in my sweatpants, but I used to not wear as much color, but now I kind of feel like I like to dress happy. So whatever that is, I really truly enjoy fashion. I love everything from, you know, honestly, like a tight fitting, like really nice, crisp blazer. But I also love, my dad calls it my clown pants, but like Magnolia Pearl. It's like really fun. They have one in Malibu, but like Indian fabrics and overalls and just fun patches and colors. So I love to just dress to my mood and my day. And I'm just not afraid to wear colors and, hats are, I love hats so much. I also never have to wash my hair when I wear a hat. So that's a plus. But I think just not being afraid to put things together and have a good time doing it, because I don't know, if it's colorful and happy, then I feel happy, I guess. But I like comfort. I rarely wear heels, and I just like things that make me feel good and put a smile on my face. So
Yes. Like you have great style. So who is the girl that's buying your necklaces? Like what's she like? What age is she, do you think? And how is she dressing? Because I mean, I think it probably started in Texas, but now it's moving its way through the nation.
you know, I would say that, probably most of my customers dress a little more conservatively than I do. I don't think they're wearing as many colors, and they're not wearing as many hats and all that kind of stuff. But I'm surprised, for the most part, I would say on average, my customers are somewhere between 30s and 60s, which is kind of a wide range. I would say later 30s, getting close to 40. But then sometimes I'll find them, most of the time they'll be buying it for them and their daughter.
One of our really like sweet clients, she's probably in her 70s, came in wearing her necklace and she was just loving it. It was so
Yeah.
cute.
Oh, I definitely have some of my girls that are like 70s. I've got a couple in their 80s. And when I first started, thinking about this and pricing them and quality and all that kind of stuff, I just realized, when it comes down to business, and the same with music or whatever your deal is or your brand, you have to know, like, what does my customer look like? What do they drive? Where do they live? And sometimes it won't be that, but for the most part, it's like it's pretty consistent. And I think that I've just built such a nice clientele. And I've always kind of had this rule too, because when I first thought about doing this, I honestly was going to do like very little charms. I wanted to make them as least expensive as I could, because I really wanted them to initially appeal to the girls that were following me because of music. And I felt like
Right.
that was a very much younger demographic, and I knew that they couldn't afford past a certain point. And, then I just realized that's not going to work for me. Surviving, quality, not going to work. Wholesale, not going to work, all that kind of stuff. And so now, my rule of thumb is if there's somebody that messages me and I can get the vibe like that's not going to work for them, then I'll send them a code. Like I want to make it work for them, and I still want to bless other people. And so I get that it's not attainable for every single person, but that's where I just decided it works for me with the price point and for my general clientele.
Is your business DTC or is it wholesale with stores?
No, direct to customer.
Yeah.
I would say.
Which I think is really impressive for your first year, because a lot of new designers would say that retail was like the main thing that launched them, and then they were able to build their direct to consumer. But you're doing it the opposite way. Do you think that's because you already had a following because of your music career? Or do you
No.
think it just happened?
No, I think it was all organic, because I honestly think that anybody that followed me because of music is actually not my clientele. That's what I realized. It's not the same person buying. And I think most of my girls are bougier than the ones that came out to my honky tonk concerts. So that's kind of my takeaway there. But I think it's just a lot of natural hard work and effort, but really just creating those relationships with people, because I think people, I want to feel excited that they're excited about it, and vice versa. And it's like every time I go out and make a necklace for somebody, it's like making a new friend. And so I just try to nurture all those relationships. It's hard sometimes because I do all social media, I do all customer service emails, I am the one, the one and only. I wear about 20 hats, and sometimes that's hard, but I really pride myself, and I'm not always perfect at it. But like if I get an email from somebody, trying to get a gift by tomorrow or something, I will be like, I'll email them back immediately and be like, what can we do to make this happen? And just try to be there for my people. So I don't know. I'm really just learning this thing along the way because this is my first rodeo for sure.
It's like your music career, you as a musician, you're like evoking like these feelings out of people through music. And
Yeah.
it's almost like you're doing the same thing but with a new art form. Because like the charms tell a story and people
Fully.
hear it and they feel something. And so it's like you're still doing like that, but in a different
Yeah.
way now.
I know. It is interesting. I talked to a friend about that, and it really is storytelling. Both is, because a lot of people want to tell their story on a necklace, and that's all we're trying to do, songwriting wise, is just connecting with people. And so it's really just a different way of doing it. And I think ultimately my goal for the next like year or two is I really want to grow my brand outside of just jewelry. And I've been like, I had a meeting with a few people when I was in Italy of getting a few pieces, like launching a couple ready to wear pieces, tops that will be made in Italy, and just growing the brand.
What's next on the horizon for Mandriana? Like it's incredible what you've accomplished with the bandana necklace in such a short period of time. So
Thank
you're already thinking of what's kind of next.
Yeah. So I think, my hope is I'm working on like a really cool lived in denim snap shirt, and all the tags will be like pieces of my bandanas. So it will always tie back to the bandanas, but it won't, just be the necklaces. I'm always drawn to pieces. Granted, I know that I've, got some funky clothes, but at the core of it all, I do love good pieces that you could always come back to that maybe have some kind of like unique detailing about them. I love like an embroidered cardigan, things like that. And so I don't know, it'll probably be a few different tops that I'll start with and just slowly put those out and kind of see what happens. So right now I'm just working on kind of the early stages of that and what that would look like and going back and forth on the designs and seeing what I can figure out.
I love it. Do you have like any kind of like dream collab that you would want? Is there like one that you think of? Could be like an artist or a brand.
There's a couple. Well, I mean, just some of the brands that come to mind that I've enjoyed recently. Well, I'm also very intrigued by the brands that are doing a lot of bandana prints right now.
I mean, don't you feel like bandana is having like a huge moment? I mean, we're carrying a lot of we carry a lot of bandana.
Yeah. Do you know the brand? I believe it's from Paris, but I always thought it was Cut Gin, but I think it's like Couchon. I don't know.
And we carry it.
Yes. Okay. Love that brand.
And then we just picked up another bandana brand, and I can't remember. I think it's also from Paris, but it's really cool. It's like bags and
Yes, it's like Call Me by Your Name. It's something.
Call Me by Your Name, and it's like neon, and it's very. We're bringing in for spring, and Kara, the buyer and my best friend who found you, her mom found you. Her mom owned a store in Austin called C. Jane for many years.
Got you.
By UT, and she found you somewhere there, told Kara, and then that's how we found you. So like Texas, I feel like always loves bandana, always loves certain like aesthetics.
Yeah.
It's kind of big everywhere right now.
Yeah, because I feel like it has such like European inspiration right now. Just all these brands. Like there's this one called Arizona Love.
I remember Arizona Love.
Yeah,
I have those like they're like Tivas, but they're bandanas.
Yeah. Yep. They have so much of the bandana stuff going on. Do you know the brand? It's like Mira Makati.
Mira Makati. I love Mira Makati.
Yeah. So like I think one of those kind of brands would be so much fun. I love all that. They put out these pants like I don't know, a couple months ago, and it's like all embroidered words all over the denim and over the cardigan, like a cashmere cardigan. So I think it could be cool to do something with them. I also love like a brand like Redone. Like I love just a good t-shirt and doing some kind of, cool embroidered.
I think you have a lot of potential with collab stuff too down the line.
Yeah, I think it could be fun. I actually was thinking of a fun little collab yesterday, but I don't know. We'll see if it happens before I say anything. So.
Okay. All right.
But no, I'm so grateful that you guys found me. I love watching y'all stuff. I'm obsessed with those colorful cardigans that y'all have right now that are kind of.
That's another cute brand. It's called American Dreams. It's a mom-daughter from Italy, but it's called American Dreams, which I thought was so playful and cute. Like, I just love that someone from another country is like American Dreams, but it's an Italian brand. So I love that. Just like you're doing Mandriana, which is like, you're an American company, but totally inspired from Italy.
Totally.
So it's just fun to see how those stories play out.
Yeah. It is.
This is the Style and Soul podcast. So I always like to sort of end with, how do you make sure you're living your life with style and soul? Do you have, habits or things? Because to see what you've done in 1 year, there's clearly, more at work that
Mhm.
we don't see, you know.
Yeah. Like what kind of grounds me? Or
Yeah, what grounds you? What habits or things that, keep you moving in the right direction? Do you have like a meditation practice, a faith practice,
yeah.
like a discipline of some sort that we all don't see, that you kind of are like, this is my secret sauce?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a few answers and it's not a perfect answer because clearly I didn't work out for a year after starting this business. So definitely physical fitness has not been the top of that list. I think that I always come back to my family. My family
Yeah.
has a huge foundation, that my husband and my parents. I'm an only child and my parents were just too old. They couldn't have another kid. And so it's just me. I used to hate that, but now I'm okay with that. But I just have such awesome support around me. So I
Yeah.
think that no matter where I go, no matter my crazy ideas, I always come back to
Your family.
this place, of just like knowing that whatever happens, it's okay. While my faith has always been, a big part of my life, I'll be the first to admit I am so bad about prioritizing that. And it's something that, I'm gone so much traveling. And to be honest with you, every time I come home, usually my husband, he's way better at it. And he'll be like, let's go to church or whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. So I definitely can't brag about that. I will say that if there's ever been a God moment in my life, I do feel like it is this. And that's how, to me, and I'll tell Colby that, my husband, like I'm not proud of, I'm one of those people where I feel like I usually pray when I need something. And regardless of what you believe, like anybody can relate to that. Of just like you always go to those, whatever that thing is in your life when you're in distress or whatever, instead of showing up when you're not needing something. But I'll be the first to say that, like, I truly feel like this was a blessing from God because it was not something that I had in the cards for myself. And I think that God knew that I needed this before I knew I needed it. So I try to just let that be a tiny testament in my journey of like, you know what? I feel like I was blessed with this to share with other people. And as far as any other good habits, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm pretty lame. I was homeschooled.
Were you? You were homeschooled?
Yes, it's a wonder I turned out normal. I mean, they are usually freaks. So,
You're
yeah.
so funny.
Um,
Homeschooling, I think, has changed a lot now. I think
yes, way
I think
hipper
it's
now.
very different. Yeah, I feel like it's cooler. I don't know. There's like, since hybrid and COVID, I think there's more like ways of
Definitely.
schooling, but that is so funny that you said that. It's so funny how even just from an Instagram feed, obviously you and I have communicated more than not, but it's like I could get a sense that your family is they're so supportive and such a
Yeah.
big part of what you're doing. And I kind of was like, this is like a family business. Like,
Yeah.
which also makes it fun to support and to like share that with our clients. Like when we talk to them about the bandanas and how they're made, and
Yeah.
it's like you're telling us, we're telling them, and it's just we're sharing the stories. So it's really fun.
Yeah. My parents were also not looking for another job, but
Yeah, I bet.
my dad had just retired from the FBI, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. I mean, he was a horse trainer when I was born. He's kind of done it all. And, he just kind of slid right into that role. And he whines about it sometimes, but he's a good sport. And my mom has health issues. And I think that this is really therapeutic for her. I think it keeps her busy. And I think it brings her joy, seeing that it brings me joy. So I think it's cool. We've had all these opportunities to spend time as a family and just do this. Like, we're lucky. We literally sit around and we'll gripe to each other about different things, or I'll tell my mom or I'll tell my dad, like I know you cut that bandana too thick, I can tell. He's like, no, I didn't. And then my mom will unwrap it and hold it up to another bandana and it's like thicker, and she's like, look at this, it's thick. And so we'll all just like kind of yap at each
Cute.
other, but it's just cool because not many families have that chance to do that together.
It's pretty sweet, and it's a cool beginning story of what's to come. Like
Yeah.
what you guys have all created together.
Yeah.
It's really
I,
cool.
well, thank you. Thank you for just being a small part of my story and supporting my brand and championing it from afar and having it in your store. I mean, literally every time I watch y'all stories, I'm just like, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that. So I'm almost scared to come out to y'all's place.
We have similar tastes, I think, in certain
Yeah.
things. I also just love happy clothing. And
Yeah.
I'm always trying to teach clients about dressing the same way you intuitively are like, I dress for my mood. I, dress for how I feel. And,
Yeah.
I think, you exude that Pink Lagoon style, which is really just like knowing who you are and then dressing that way. It's not for anyone else. It's for you. You are someone who's dressing for like a specific occasion or an event.
Yeah.
It's also just how do I bring myself still to this place where I'm going to feel authentically me in my personal style. And, I love being part of that for women because it's all about making women feel good and empowered and confident in who they are and where they're going. And we all have, times in our life where that light can feel dimmer than others, and it's circumstantial. It could be like, turning a certain age or certain changes with bodies and stuff. So it is fun to be part of a community where we get to just uplift people.
Yeah, I think that's so important. I feel like I didn't have many girlfriends growing up because all my friends were, I don't know, either are animals or like guys playing music. And so now that I feel like I have this chance to connect with so many women, I'm like, I want to make up for all those lost friendships. Like I want to be friends with all the girls and I want to lift each other up because I don't know, life is short, and you got to take care of your people and have a good time doing it.
I agree. Well, Catie, this was so much fun and I loved hearing your story. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'll hopefully see you in the store like ASAP. So
2026 has to be our year, okay?
yeah, maybe a nice little spring hangout pop-up, aka me shopping in your store. So
All right,
so
thank
much.
you. We'll
See you
talk to you later.
Bye.
Thanks for joining me on the Style and Soul podcast. I hope today's conversation left you inspired to look deeper, not just at the brands you love, but the stories and the people behind them. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. This podcast is produced by Oleg Livitz and edited by David Strutt. Until next time, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep building your life with style and soul.